Now let's learn how to create functions. This is going to be very important part of Python. Generally, when you write a code in a project, you should never just put everything into one file and say that, okay, I'm done. It's a very bad coding practice. What you should instead do is that you put those small chunks of logical code into a module, which you call it as a function, and call that function as a separate thing. So you can think of it like this, like let's say you have um, basically you have your phone with you. Now in your phone you have multiple different functionalities available, right? So every functionality, like if you click on contact, it opens your contact part. So maybe there is a function being created for only that contact, which is opening in that phone, basically that contact portion of it. Similarly, if I open any game in it, it may be opening up the function related to that game particular component. Same way, we need to kind of help in kind of shorten our code into small part. A lot of times it do happens that we also want to call the same code again and again. So in those cases, it's not a good idea that you repeat the same code. You kind of keep on calling the same code, and kind of it will increase the code repeatability. So in those cases, we write that code into a function and we can call that function again and again. So this is the usage of your function part. Now let's see that how to work with functions. So we have to check this particular doc. So let's come here. Now here what we have to do is we are going to create functions. So let's first understand that how to create it. So let's say I want to create a function called as hello underscore world. Now if I want to create it, first thing is I always start with the keyword def. It's a fixed defined keyword in Python called as def, which means definition. What is the name of this function? Hello underscore world. Now I'm not passing anything, that means there's no parameter which I'm passing inside this function. Now as soon as you say print hello world, see, remember the indentation again, okay, which we have learned it in the if else loop chapter also. So here we are again saying this, and we are intending it maybe with 4 spaces or a tab, and then we are saying print hello world. So means this part of the code is basically part of this block hello world. Now again I change my intention to the starting, that means now we are out of this function. We are no more inside this function, we are out of this function. So now we are with hello world, we are calling this particular function. So this is what is happening. So let's execute and see this code. So if I have to execute this, so you can see that I just called this hello world and it printed up hello world, which is in my print statement. So this is how you can call a function and you can define a function. So this part of the code which you are noticing, if you want, I can also kind of remove this from here. I can remove this from here, not mandatorily that I need to add it here. Let's go to the second line here, and now I call it. So let's say if I re-execute this again, and now if I call hello world, you can see that I got the printf statement. So what this is doing, it is calling this above function, and whatever is present inside that function, it is executing it. So this function, since it have a print statement, it is just printing out the value hello world. Similar way, if I want to pass some parameter to any function, for example, you can see here that I'm creating a function called as cube, okay, and in this function I'm whatever value I will pass, means whatever value, let's say it's coming as 3, so in that case I'm saying 3 exponent 3, means 3 to the power 3. That's what we want to do here, and return my output. So whatever the calculation will happen, just return that particular output for me. So now in this case, how it will work is, it is first, this cube is just creating a function, and you can notice this indentation which is making it clear that the function is going to return statement. And now when I have to call it, I'm saying cube 3. When I say cube 3, the first step, what's going to happen, this 3 is going to get passed to this num variable, and now this execution will happen and this output will be returned. So 3 into 3 means 3 is going to be 27. So this out is going to return 27, which is going to be assigned now to my q1 variable, and now we are printing it up. So this is how we are going to do it, and this is going to return me the result 27 here. Let's see this. So if I come here and execute this, you can see that I got 27. Similarly, if I pass 4, it is going to return me 4 to the power 3, which is going to be 64, and you can see that I got 64. Right? So this is the way we can get this output. You can see that in this case I got Q is, and there's no space after that. So in order to add a space, as we learned in the string section, you can just say Q is space and 64. So this is how it's going to be taken care. So let's say you want to write a factorial function. I would strongly recommend you to pause this video here and try to write a factorial function on your own. What a factorial function do for me? Let's say if I pass a value 5 to a factorial. Factorial is represented like this exclamation sign. What this means is it's going to say 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 like this. This is what it's going to do. It's just going to keep on subtracting to the lower end and keep on multiplying these values. So how we can do it? So we are creating a function called as factorial, and we are, let's say, passing the value 5 to it. So what it's going to do, this is going to run, if it is definitely going to check if the value of n is greater than 5, then in that case it return n into factorial n minus 1, means again recall this loop, again re-execute this loop, and this time take up the value 4. So this time it is going to become 5 into factorial 4. I'm just writing in the shortcut. So next time it will become 5 into 4 into factorial 3 like this, right? It will keep on looping across. Now where it will stop? When the value of n is going to become equal to 1. Right? So in that case, because this actually don't happen. So in that case, basically it's going to go 5 into 4 into 3 into 2. Right? So it's going to return me the value n. Basically whatever the output will come, it's going to return it. So finally we will have all these values. So this is how this factorial you can execute. If you are able to do it on your own, that's awesome, means you are on the right track. If not, no worry, you will keep on learning and keep on doing further exercises. So let's execute this, and you can see that we got the factorial of 5 as 120. You can just try with some more values as well. Let's say you don't know how many arguments you want to pass. Like in this case, I know that I want to pass one argument n, which can be 5, 4, whatever I want. But let's say I don't know how many arguments I want to pass. So one way to do it in Python is you can pass here as strict args. It's gonna means that I don't know how many arguments I want to keep. Now I'm just saying print of args, means whatever arguments are there, just print it. Second thing I'm doing is whatever arguments are there, I want to sum them up also. So let's say I pass 1, 2, 3, then it should say 1 plus 2 plus 3. Okay, so that's what I want to do. And if I'm passing this in summation 1, 2, 3, 4, you can notice here that what is happening, it is taking up my value 1, 2, 3, 4, because right now I don't know that initially I want to pass like 4 or 5. I could have put even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 also. That's also fine. So first thing, it's going to print 1, 2, 3, 4 with this print statement. And then the second is it's going to print 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, whatever the output is. Let's see the output. So I have not executed this function. Sorry about that. Now let's execute. You can see that I got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 10. So this is how you can basically print out the output. Similarly, let's say you want to create even few more things, like you don't want to define the name of a specific function. You can do that with the help of lambda function. This is also called as anonymous function. The way we do that is, let's say if I have a variable called as captain where I have Virat Kohli. Now I'm just saying that I want to split it. Now I could have given a name of a function and in that def name on the function and provide the split. But instead of that, what I'm doing, I'm not defining any name to my function. I'm just using this lambda keyword. So lambda keyword means I'm talking about anonymous function now. And what I'm doing, that whatever input is going to come in it, I'm just going to apply the split function on it. So here, if in this string to list, I'm passing this captain, which means the X will be taking up Virat Kohli and going to split it up into Virat and Kohli separately. Let's execute this. So you can see that it's splitting up two words, Virat and Kohli, and that's the reason we got basically Virat Kohli as two separate things. And if I do a type of this, you can see that it's returning that it's a function. It is telling me also explicitly that it's a function. So lambda is quite useful in terms of you need not define functions, and specifically you can write quite interesting code in it. Let's see one more example of lambda. Here I'm creating with the variable name multiply, and I'm saying lambda, and I'm passing two inputs like x and y. So then what I'm doing, that whatever two inputs you are providing, I'm just going to multiply them up. So if in this case it's going to multiply, like I'm saying multiply 4 comma 4. So it's going to multiply 4 into 4, which is going to be 16. So this is the way you can write your functions. Let's say if you want to create some documentation related to a function as well, you can do that. For example, if you want to create a documentation, this is quite helpful when you are writing kind of a code. It's good that you should develop a habit of writing a documentations. So in this case, if you say def of triple, which is the function name, and passing input argument. So here you can just pass the documentation with this triple quote. Triple quote, provide the values to it, and you can see that it's saying return 3 into num. This is what I'm performing in this function. Let's execute it. Now, if I say triple 10, it is working as normal. But let's say if I want to see the documentation which I have kept inside this function, there is something called as underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. If I execute this, you can see it's telling me function to triple the number, which I have put it here as my documentation. So this is also how you can define your documentations inside your function.